Now, this is about 20,000 years ago. Now, remember, for a long time, now let me close this down before we have some problems. For a long time, I've been on here showing you the backdrop with books and evidence and blah, 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 blah about, the Caucasus Mountain race. And although it's a touchy subject, it's a popular subject now because now it's what you know everybody gets to talk about whatever they want. So, but when it comes to the occult text, the interesting thing is white people will tell you about themselves. And it's not really a Negro conspiracy to tell you that white people are from this time and this space. This corresponds to the whole Yakub narrative, right? This corresponds to the whole, every other narrative about them being created and da 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 da. No matter whose angle you want to take, this Teutonic race occult text, which is coming from Sumerian text, the root race narrative is coming from Sumerian text, Atlantis, some of the stuff. You're gonna find a lot of this stuff in the occult text, man. And just know when these people put these books out and they tell you that they got this from the Akashic records, I'm gonna try to. I can't even show. I'm not gonna show my face again because again we rocking. If they ever tell you they got some from the Akashic records, just know these people are able to narrate things without giving names to it. So they'll say Akashic records. Their Masonic libraries, you understand, is where they pull information from, create books, and become rich off it, become notable individuals off of bodies of work that they themselves did not find, but they published, like the founders of these fucking buildings in America, these founders in 17, whatever the fuck, 100 years before a goddamn power tool. But you founded this big ass fucking castle with all these perfect pillars. I'm supposed to believe these goddamn white men came on a fucking horse and whipped up these fucking temples in here? Yeah. Sure. I don't think so. So we know that when they founded something, that means they found it. So the same thing is happening with these people who come up with all these amazing secret text and the secret doctrine and the secret this of H.P. Blavatsky. They have access to these lodges and vaults. We know that they were part of these lodges. It's not a secret. I'm not guessing, right? This is what it is. It's documented. We have the books. We have the texts. It ain't no mystery to it, right? So they're able to publish things and travel to places and put things in ways that are really little breadcrumbs, because it doesn't matter that you get a piece to the puzzle, because they know that you're not even putting the puzzle together. They know you're hungry for something, but you don't even know what the fuck you're hungry for. So you don't even get it when it's out right now. Right now, the damage is done. The dark ages don't even need to be no more. The dark ages now are psychological. It's so psychological. The books have been out. They've been out so long. Now they're getting destroyed. Now they're getting digitized and getting remade and edited even worse. And you're getting put in the dark age part two. You missed this wave of knowledge. You ain't been listening. You ain't been seeing. You ain't been buying books like you need to. You think that it's about reading a book. You better buy this You better buy books to collect knowledge and information, man. I've been telling you for a long time that you can buy a book right now that's digitized and it'll have a missing significant detail, like Gerald Massey talking about the Tamahu being created white people. If you look at the digital version, it won't say that, but I can show you the Gerald Massey right now where it says the Tamahu means the created white people. The ancient Egyptians have on their wall in the Temple of Seti I talking about the Tamahu. But you won't find that on the digital version. You won't find that. Only in the written version. And that's critical. That's very critical because they took that piece of the wall out of the Temple of Seti. You can't see it right now. They took it. So, anyways, let's continue. So when the soul leaves and it reaches the seventh heaven, you can enjoy all the good deeds that you did in this world. And that's what the heaven realm was for. The heaven realm was for you to synchronize with all the good that you did and all the good that you deserve. And there's no negative that can reside there. And all that can reside there is pure refinement for the soul. And a lot of people go there and choose to come back from there, from that point, from the heaven realm point. Okay? And then some people who have other options, they choose to stay and help people. Right? But these are few and rare, very, very few and rare. What I'm telling to you. Okay, it's not like every other fucking person. These are very, very enlightened individuals who would choose to come back and they out of going on, knowing what it means to go on. Okay, But when you choose to come back from the heaven realm, you're equally as dumb for coming back from the astral plane. From the astral plane, you'll come back through fear and emotion. But through the mental realm, you'll come back through satisfaction and pursuit of new lessons. So the deception is you think your soul needs to keep coming back for some goddamn lessons. That's the soul trap, where you think you're coming to do some shit you need to do. No, all that you need to fucking do is sum up the lessons of the life that you did pass through and get the goddamn lessons out of it right now. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't need 16 fucking lives for this. So that's the soul trap. The soul trap is thinking you're doing a good deed by coming back for yourself or for any fucking one, for that matter, right? There's nothing good in that because the soul wants to be liberated, because the nature of the soul is to fly like a bird that should not be in a fucking cage with its wings clipped. So do not clip your wings, dear soul. Do not live under the burden of someone else's cage with the false guise of morality. There's nothing good or meritorious to come back into quicksand with someone. Hey, you better save thyself. Know thy worth. Know thyself. Know thy value. Know thy sense of direction. Don't get caught in the delusion and illusion of friends, family, loved ones. None of them are anything but another expression of the divine monad at best. And they are going through their alchemical ascension just like you. You can't save them, they can't save you. You can only assist them like they can assist you. But you can't do any more for them than they can do for themselves. Live visibility restriction. I knew it. I'll screenshot it just in case I want to show you. If you're in this room, thank you for being here. I just got a live visibility restriction. So, you know how we do. I knew that it was going to be something somewhere sometime. But thank you for being here. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you for coming through. I see you. Thank you for the follows. I see everyone. I see the comments. I see your names. I see you. I'm scrolling back through. Yo, Drippy Sanders. What up? What up? What up? Lavender. You are preventing people from going to heaven. No, I can't prevent anybody from anything. And that's part of the demiurge mindset. The demiurge mindset says that I could prevent you from something just because I'm talking. Like you are stuck here with your hands tied and your eyes taped open and your ears taped back. Like you're in Guantanamo Bay. What are you talking about, man? You don't have to be here. I'm not preventing anyone from anything. You understand? I could not ever do such a thing because I don't have that ability. I could indoctrinate a whole garage full of people, and if they want to say nigga fuck you, there's nothing I can do about that. There's not a damn thing I can do about that. My ego is speaking. Yeah, that person's ego was speaking. Yeah, that person for sure. Chocolate Spirit, correct. WRG ego is trash. Yeah, for sure. Chocolate Spirit, no doubt. Carbon, Susie, what's up, Susie? Thank you guys for being here. Earth is a prison planet. That's for sure. No doubt, Dave. Yeah, 100%, because it's made for you to realize what you are. So again, there's going to be many angles when it comes to this. You're going to find that when it comes to the Buddhic lens, you might not find them use language like the Gnostics. The Gnostics will use language like it's a prison. The Buddhic lens will just use language like learning lessons through incarnation. But that's the surface Buddhic lens. The deeper Buddhic lens, you get into the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It talks about breaking the soul trap, breaking the wheel of incarnation, the wheel of samsara. So you want to break this wheel of incarnation. The Buddha story represents the same thing as the Christ story, breaking the incarnation, the reincarnation cycle. That's all the Christ story is talking about. So, Donald Johnson, what's up, man? Uh, I do books, bro. I do book clubs. This is my book. I'm just been on hiatus for a minute, man, because TikTok stomped me out. I took a big stomp out from TikTok. I ain't gonna lie. It took out 3 of my accounts back to back. I'm stuck with this. This is the debris. This is the debris of what I've done on here. So if you're here, thank you for being here. But you know, you're catching me at the in my last album. You understand? I'm coming out of a blast here. Uh, but anyways, man, the Anunnaki have the same story, okay? They're intermediate beings that represent those who were spawned from the creation of the lower densities. They're realm, they're entities that exist on that realm and that plane. They have the consciousness of the pleroma, the emanations of the monad, and they're able to see the physical realm and the universal realm of the metaphysical existence and the physical existence, okay? That's what a watcher is. It represents an entity that is at the threshold of the divine and the non-divine, okay? So the Anunnaki are the same exact thing. And so mixing with the women represent an amalgamation of ill intent through spirit, through a counterfeit spirit, as the Gnostic text says. A counterfeit spirit was created and superimposed on the soul through the body. And so that's what the Anunnaki created. And when the Nephilim came, the Nephilim were the physical giant spawns that held the DNA traction that was superimposed in man. But the story goes that when the giants came on the earth, they caused so much damage that they first usurped all the natural foliage that was on the earth that was edible. And then they started to usurp all of the animals that were edible on the earth at that time, because all the animals that are on earth now were not on the earth during the earliest stages, especially at that time. The Atlanteans had very few animals. The Lemurians had even fewer animals. And the further you go back, lesser animals. Animals weren't really dominant until you got after the Atlantean phase. Understand? The Atlantean phase, yes, had animals, but their animals looked a lot different, and they just weren't like they are now, because we have hybrid animals that came from Atlantis experiments. A lot of the animals we have now are hybrid animals that came from Atlantis experiments. That's a whole different topic. Um, but the Anunnaki represent beings that had true knowledge of what they were doing. That's why it says in the Bible that the watchers in the book of Enoch, not the Bible. It says in the book of Enoch that they went to Mount Hermon, which is near Sumeria in the Middle East, right there by Iraq, by ancient Sumeria, ancient Babylon. Mount Hermon in the Bible. They went there and they took an oath. 200 watchers, which is the same story of Anunnaki. 200 watchers took an oath that they would die with this pact to fulfill the mission, right? Which would be to trap man through the arts. So the watchers taught men arts before they were ready for the arts, because I told you before that man went through progressive stages, and like during the Atlantean stage, speech begun. But during the Lemurian stage, there was no speech. Speech didn't happen until the Atlanteans came. Up until the Atlanteans, everything was telepathic. There was no such thing as a speaking Lemurian. You understand? So speaking came with the Atlanteans much later. And first speaking came with the singing of women. It wasn't just people talking words. It was hymns of women. And then over time, the hymns became memorized, and memory became a thing. Because once memory became a thing, then the need for language became a thing. So these sciences is where you get in the Bible and the Quran, also talking about angels who came down and taught men arts, and the king of the Temple of Solomon, they hid these arts in the Temple of Solomon. This is exactly the same thing as the Watchers. Okay, this is exactly the same exact thing. All this is talking about is it's talking about what the occult text, the Sanskrit text, would call the Manu. A Manu is an archetype that steps into the process of the evolution of man, meaning a phenotypical structure that now starts to superimpose itself and give man a new refined look, because man has looked different over the ages. So as man has become more refined through different environments, through time and mixing and this, that, and the other, the refinement and new phenotypical traits come gradually, and that's called a Manu. A Manu will come in and make a look prominent, or give a feature prominent attributes and let it dominate the gene. That's why you see certain tribes have certain attributes. You're like, oh, I could tell you're from that tribe because of your eyebrow bone, or because your nose bone, or because your cheekbones. A Manu comes in and does that, okay? So this is an archetypal caste entity that comes in throughout the ages and stages of man's development for every single race. Every single race has a Manu that comes in, an archetypal Manu that is a caste for what that people will look like, what that male will look like, what the female will look like. Okay, so this is all before the archons. Before the archons, before, which is what the angels are, which is what is responsible for your body being created. The archons create every single aspect of your body, right? There's an archon for your heart, for your lungs, each lung, you understand? Your kidneys, your intestines, your foot, your ankle. Every single aspect of your body is created by, in the Gnostic text, an archon. There's an archon assigned to every single part of your body, okay? And those are called angels in the biblical text, because these angels in that terminology comes from the Gnostic text, and they're they're referred to archons. This is just interchangeable terminology. Angels are interchangeable with archons. Archons means ruler. Okay. Um, I'm curious if you have belief on the other side. Okay, please don't troll me with this ignorance. This is some weird stuff. Anyways, when it talks about mixing with the women of the earth, now we're talking about entities that are not male or female. We're talking about androgynous entities, watchers, right? They're not male or female. So mixing with the women means that the initiative is taken. And when the initiative is taken, that's a masculine energy. So naturally, they'd have to come through men and mix and spawn through women. They have to mix and mate with women because initiation is a masculine energy, and to initiate is to have a masculine essence. To receive is feminine. So they had to be received so their seed could be supplanted, and then they could be spawned again, and a hybrid could be created, which is what we call the Nephilim. The Nephilim come from the spawning of a caste that was not supposed to take place because they weren't a proper caste. You understand? Because there's a caste that comes for the soul. For man, it's called the Adam Cadman. Adam comes from a mimic of Adam Cadman. When you hear that God created Adam, that's from the Gnostic text of Yaldabaoth. It says Yaldabaoth created Adam as a mimic of the cosmic Adam Cadman. And Adam Cadman represents the perfect emanation of the monad in man form, cosmic man form, embodiment. So it doesn't, you understand what I'm saying? It's a cosmic expression of an embodiment of the monad. That's called the Adam Cadman. So Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, God of the Bible, made Adam. He's a offshoot. He's a cheap knockoff of the Adam Cadman. Okay? So that's the cosmic Adam. That's the pure emanation expression of the monad. When the monad wants to express himself as an individual entity in that way, it comes as the Adam Cadman. Okay? Hold on, it's making me verify. Um, so anyways, man, if there's any questions, just let me know. But I want to continue with what I'm saying though. So let me continue because I'm not near done. I want you to walk through the process slowly. So we're here now with the Watchers mixing with men. I want you to get the proper understanding. It's not just a drama. You're supposed to be phantasmagorical, playing within your mind. Let's just get to the real stuff now, okay? So this represents the Watchers represent entities that are real, and it represents something that is alchemically imposed within your makeup here. Okay, so the Watchers represent a part of you that knows better. The Watchers represent a part of you there's a part of you that's naturally it's installed in you to know better. You understand? It's that consciousness within you that knows there's more than this. Because the Watchers are the first ones to be at the gate, at the threshold of what is versus what isn't, of illusion versus reality. You understand? That's why they're called the Watchers. They're the ones that are able to see exactly all what's going on and how and why. They can see, oh snaps. They can see what it looks like to be stuck in the soul trap and what it looks like when it means to cross over and be free. The Watchers can see the whole thing take place. So they installed something by being with the women here. This is a metaphysical formula for you. You're supposed to realize that there's something in your DNA that's going to always be inclined to knowing. It's all about waking that up through knowledge. And then you'll get the gnosis, which is beyond words in a book. It's through experience. It's through inner knowing that is beyond anyone's opinion or approval. That's gnosis. So The Watchers represent as well an aspect of your consciousness and your DNA, which is part of your consciousness. It's the blood, it's the electricity that grounds your consciousness in the physical body. So it's one and the same, okay? It's the conduit of consciousness, which is what your DNA is. The Watchers are an aspect of you. It's an aspect of your awareness right now, okay? Anunnaki, consciousness, and now let's get into the Nephilim. The Nephilim now represent something totally different, okay? Because now I'm going to give you multiple angles. I'm not giving you my personal opinion. I'm giving you the multiple angles that are there for you to pick from and see what's on the table, okay? This is not my personal opinion. Everything I'm telling you is backed up by the books that I present to you and many other books that I don't have because I'm not the end all be all of any fucking thing, okay? But what I'm telling you is this. Now you have the spawn of that coming together, which is a bastardized, it was a law broken, okay? It was a law broken because those Watchers weren't designed to come in and interfere with the process of man. Okay? They weren't designed to come in and do that. They were designed to watch. They were not designed to interfere. Okay? So they interfered. Now, they spawned the Nephilim. The Nephilim, it says, ate all the vegetables or the foliage, ate all of the animals, then it ate man. Okay? And then you had the great cataclysms that destroyed these beings because it said, then they ate man. So that means that's telling you, now let's pause for a second. Because when you hear the Watchers and you don't know what the fuck's going on, you think the Watchers happened at the beginning of time. The Watchers happened when man was on Earth. So much in progression that by the time man was already binary, we read that man, through the Lemurian stage up into the very late transitional stages into the Atlantean stage, was androgynous all the way into the later stages of Lemuria until it got Atlantis. Then it became binary. So that means that man was on Earth, even in a binary stage, before this Watcher situation and Anunnaki situation even took place. So that's telling you this is cosmic. That's telling you this is psychological. That's telling you this is vibrational. This is frequency based. This is Earth realm frequency based, and you're in the soul trap Earth realm. And as time continues, as the life force energy keeps making its rounds, you densify. As we densify, the soul trap gets harder and harder to break away from. Initially, it was not hard to break away from the soul trap in the first earliest stages when man was less dense, when the earth field was less dense. Because knowing thyself from a telepathic state of being is not hard as it is from knowing thyself after being lied to by the white man for a fucking your whole goddamn life. So knowing thyself as a fucking semi-etheric astral entity that's slowly solidifying in the earth realm during the fucking early Lemurian stages is a hell of a lot different than knowing thyself right now, lost as fuck. Okay? Sophia is your soul. Sophia represents the furthest emanation of the monad, which is called wisdom. Sophia means wisdom. That wisdom could only have true wisdom. I said this already, but I'm going to say it again. That wisdom could only have true wisdom if it could know the dark and the light. So wisdom in the pleroma only knows the light, but wisdom outside the pleroma must know the dark as well. So it must know potential. Pistis Sophia. Pistis means faith. Faith is synonymous with optimism, divine optimism. Optimism that's tied to wisdom. Pistis Sophia. Sophia means wisdom. So faith wisdom means optimism, divine optimism tied to divine wisdom, meaning your optimism is not blind. It's not reckless. It's not stupid. It doesn't have any shortcomings. It's divine optimism. It's Pistis Sophia. It's the faith that's not blind faith. It's the kind of faith that's tied to something called wisdom, meaning that no matter what it looks like, no matter what it looks like, what it's going to end up being. That's what pistis, that's what faith is, divine optimism. You understand? Something totally different than bullshit faith. Divine optimism is a hell of a lot different, okay? So that's what the title of Pistis Sophia means. And it's not in the text itself, it's a later addition, but that's also neither here or there. But, so, as the Nephilim were destroyed, it says their essence was trapped in the earth realm, in the universal realm, and they became the demons on the earth. So the archons aren't your demons. Yes, they're archons. Yes, they're rulers. Yes, they're actually against you. They're not for you. Yes, you have to get back. You have to get through them in the seven planetary spheres when the soul ascends, or you'll be stuck here. Yes, for sure. But they only test those who don't know thyself. They're only testing you to see if you know thyself. Henceforth, the 42 negations of Ma'at. What a beautiful science to remember. The 42 negations, the I have nots, the I have nevers, the motherfucker, it ain't me. Because you're not supposed to identify with the flesh. You understand? And every single stage of ascension from the archons that you go through, every single degree of checkpoint, it's all the same answer to the different question. Do you identify with this fear? Do you identify with this greed or grief or regret? Do you identify with this shame? Do you identify with this lust? If you don't identify with it, that pain, that regret, then you will pass the planetary spheres. And each planetary sphere offers up a different attachment that you've acquired in this flesh. So that's why it's wise. The wise man does in the beginning what the fool does in the end. You get your shit together right now, because you're not going to cross over and become Buddha. A lot of motherfuckers got it all fucked up. You think you're going to cross over and see God and wake up? You think so? You think life's a cheat? You think you get to cheat life and a game? You think you get to fuck around